Cyber Innovations in the Private Sector highlights case studies and the latest industry trends from private vendors. Explore innovative solutions, success stories, and exclusive insights from industry leaders. Stay ahead with the cutting-edge developments driving the industry forward.
Welcome to this special episode of CyberSecTV, where we dive into the pressing issue of cybersecurity regulations. Today, we are exploring the regulatory tsunami, a wave of new policies and directives shaping the digital landscape. Joining us is Ali Khalil.
So thank you very much. It's a big pleasure to be part of this podcast episode today.
Why do you think we are experiencing this regulatory wave in cybersecurity right now?
It's quite an interesting approach to tackle the topic, actually. So today we're witnessing a regulatory wave in cybersecurity because digital interconnectivity has exploded in recent years. So with more than 35 to 75 billion IoT devices, depending on the source where you get the information from, we've got those devices that are projected to be in use globally by 2030, which is very soon. So our digital ecosystem has grown both in size and in complexity. So this explosion of connected devices, along with the increasing sophistication of cyber threats, for example, companies now face an average of probably around 5 billion malware attacks annually. So this really has forced governments, especially in the EU, to step in. Today as well, economic imperatives are also at play. So a single data breach can cost an enterprise up to 4 million euros. And when you multiply that risk, across all the countless organizations, I think the stakes become astronomically high. So consequently, I would say the EU has enacted overlapping regulations such as DORA, the Cyber Resilience Act, NIS2, and they've recently added amendments to the Red Directive to really protect this critical infrastructure and maintain market integrity and ultimately, safeguard the consumers, safeguard businesses.
What global or technological factors are driving the surge in the new cybersecurity regulations?
So first, I would say there's an exponential growth of digital services and connected devices. So think about how every smart home, wearable, and industrial sensor contributes to an ever-growing digital footprint. As I mentioned earlier, by 2030, experts are predicting that there will be up to 75 billion IoT devices in circulation. So that growth is essential. Secondly, I would say cyber threats, they have evolved dramatically. So we now see state-sponsored attacks, sophisticated ransomware, different phishing scams that target even the most secure networks. So for instance, some cyber incidents have cost companies really millions in direct damages and even more money in that lost revenue for them. Thirdly, I would say that the economical and societal risks of digital disruption, they've reached that high tipping point. So with cyber attacks increasing at a rate of, I think, around 30% per year, regulators, they really don't have a choice but to actually step in and step up. So they want to try and aim to reduce this massive financial impact with an average data breach costing around, like we said, around $4 million or even euros, and to protect public safety in critical sectors such as finance, healthcare, energy, so any sector that you could really think of. That's why we've got all of those different overlapping regulations coming up. So these factors combine to create a really pressing need to build up those harmonized and different comprehensive regulations, I would say.
Can you please describe the complexity within the EU policy landscape regarding cybersecurity and digital products right now?
I think this is somehow the talk of the town. If you're a vendor or if you're a lab or if you're a notifying body or whoever you are, you're always in this type of discussion and trying to understand that particular complexity. And that's not an easy topic. So on the EU policy landscape in cybersecurity, it's really notably complex because it comprises several overlapping regulations and different scopes And you've got even different timelines for every regulation. I'll give you a few examples. So for the Cyber Resilience Act, they set out detailed cybersecurity requirements for all the products with digital elements. And it will be fully applicable by December 2027. And that is really, really very soon. Whereas, for example, on the DORA, the Digital Operational Resilience Act, it focuses specifically on the financial entities, and it takes effect in starting January 2025. So it started last month, and we see lots of organizations trying to catch up and trying to comply. In addition, you've got the NIS2 directive, and that extends cybersecurity obligations to operators of critical services like energy, healthcare, with really full compliance expected by October 2026. And add to that the RED directive, or Radio Equipment Directive, and now it leverages the harmonized EN 18031 series. So manufacturers today, they have the option, which is a good thing, to self-declare their conformity under the EN 18031. So if they meet specific restrictions, which can significantly simplify their certification process. And that's, I believe, a very good thing to them, and of course to cybersecurity in general. So however, aligning with multiple regulatory frameworks simultaneously, depending on where you are as a company, each with its own set of technical standards, certification processes, this is really a significant challenge for many manufacturers. You've got the new manufacturers, the smaller ones, and you've got the bigger ones. Probably the bigger ones, they have their own teams of cybersecurity experts, whereas the smaller manufacturers of connected product, for example, it's pretty hard for them to figure out where do they fit and how to comply. So here goes the challenge.
Can you please tell me, how does security by design help overcome these regulation challenges? And what does it mean for connected products?
Right. So again, security by design is something good if you are building a new product today. It's very good to think for security by design. Probably the additional challenge would be if you already have your product in the market, how to deal with that. But let me answer first about security by design and how it helps overcome those challenges of regulations. So when you were saying security by design, this really means that cybersecurity is integrated right from the initial design stage and is maintained throughout the product's entire life cycle. So I'll give you an example. The CRA mandates today that manufacturers would conduct comprehensive cyber risk assessments during product development and to implement robust security controls and to establish mechanisms of continuous updates and specifically vulnerability patching. So when a product is designed with security in mind from the outset, from the beginning, it becomes easier to meet those stringent requirements of not only the CRA, but also any overlapping framework. And this self-declaration process, if all the specific restrictions are met, it can really eliminate the need for external notified body involvement. So hence that would reduce both time and costs on a particular manufacturer if they really build their thing, their product with security by design in their mind from the start.
And what steps should a manufacturer take to ensure compliance with these overlapping regulations?
So I would say for manufacturers, there are multiple steps to try and navigate this regulatory, let's call it maze, or as you initiated and said, like tsunami in the beginning. So firstly, they really must conduct a comprehensive cyber risk assessments to identify, but not only identify, but document all the potential vulnerabilities from the design phase onward. Then next, they should adopt harmonized technical standards, like the standards I've been talking about. If we're talking about connected products, like the EN 18031 for radio equipment devices. So if the product meets those set restrictions, you're able to do that self-declaration. So a self-declaration is not possible if that's not possible, you have to collaborate with a notified body or external consultants to help you go through some of that process if you don't have the expertise in-house. I could give probably a small example on what we do at Red Alert Labs, and we've tried to birth some kind of a SaaS platform named CyberPass. And that solution really helps play some kind of a pivotal role because we're automating some of the work that happens. So with CyberPass, we assist labs, notified bodies, vendors, meaning manufacturers, by streamlining the compliance process, but that whole conversation between the three stakeholders. And it automates a lot of the documentation and facilitates risk assessments, and it ensures that all required security measures are in place to meet, for example, the EN 18031. So what I would say is be encouraged to use third-party tools that help you automate some of the processes, especially how to document and how to do your gap analysis. And then finally, manufacturers really need to develop integrated compliance strategies that really align with both sector-specific and general cybersecurity mandates. So really they need to be ensuring continuous monitoring and regular updates to their products or companies. So the approach not only secures the products, but really it turns compliance into a competitive advantage for them. Because as we move forward, consumers in general or buyers of their products will really be looking for more secure solutions as they learn more about these types of securities and what the EU is doing today.
And Ali, do you think we should adjust our approach or do something different to handle this regulatory complexity?
For me, absolutely. There are things that could happen in a different way. So given this, rapid pace of technological change and the overlapping nature of these different regulations, I truly believe that companies must adopt that proactive and integrated compliance strategy. Today, many companies don't even think about a particular regulation until it really hits them hard. So this means not only keeping up with the current requirements, but also anticipating all the future changes. So by investing in this internal capabilities, for example, through specialized training or hiring cybersecurity experts internally, leveraging tools like the tool I've just mentioned, which is CyberPass, if you got a cyber attack, or if you default on complying to a particular regulation that's coming in, there will be a huge amount of fines that would be paid. So let's be proactive about the approach. So I do believe that rather than viewing these regulations as a burden and it's hard, I believe that companies should see them as an opportunity to build a more secure and resilient digital ecosystem, because it's good for them and for the people that they are trying to address. So this proactive stance can, significantly enhance both brand reputation and competitive edge in an increasingly, I would say, interconnected world. If I have this, and that regulation under my belt and I'm really complying with them, I believe that more people will turn to me as a company. So I do encourage the listeners to take a close look at their compliance strategies. Consider, integrated solutions and simplifying the process to really ensure that long-term success for them and set themselves up for success, and not just put a product in the market and then just leave it there and let people struggle with all the threats that could exist. I hope this kind of response adds value in terms of the proactivity that is needed in types of learning about what's happening in the market today, but not only learning, but equipping our teams, team members with the knowledge that is needed to build things in a secure by design approach.
Well, thank you, Ali, for these valuable insights.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's all for today's episodes, and see you next time.